I want to say good morning or good afternoon for people joining us from different time zones. Um, Thank you for joining us. I appreciate for your time. Uh, we are going to start the webinar. My name is Sam Shuri. I'm the program manager for NGIF Emissions Testing Centre at the NGIF Accelerator. I'll be the moderator for today's session, another episode of our Techtalk series webinar. Today's topic is UL testing, inspection, and certification services, accelerating compliance, enabling global market access. We've brought together a fantastic panel of experts from UL Solution to share insight on certification, field evaluation, and global market access for methane technologies. As always, let's first go quickly through our housekeeping note. The microphones are disabled during the presentation. We will enable audio and camera for the Q&A. Feel free to use the chat box to ask our question and stay engaged. During the Q&A, you can unmute and ask your question as well. This session is being recorded, and the recording will be shared on our website at the etc.ngif.ca. At the end of the session, we'll share a survey link. Please take a moment to fill it out, as your feedback helps us improve. For those of you who are not familiar or new to NGIF, NGIF is an innovation platform to support clean tech startups to grow. Through the NGIF ETC program, we provide a platform for methane technology providers to test and field validate their solution in real-world conditions. The program is also designed to accelerate the path to commercialization by sharing insights, building industry connection, and supporting the adoption of innovative technologies. Our Techtalk bring together subject matter experts and stakeholders across the energy and innovation ecosystem to spotlight key challenges and opportunities facing clean tech developers. I also like to thank our current supporter and funder of the program, the Government of Alberta. Before we move on, I wanted to take a moment to announce that our technology adoption platform, also known as TAP, is now accepting applications. TAP is designed to connect innovative methane technology with the industry operator and investor. If you are developing a methane solution at TRL 7 and above and have an industry champion, I highly recommend you to apply. This is your opportunity to join a network focused on accelerating commercialization and adoption. Visit our website to learn more at etc.ngif.ca or contact me directly. I'll do my best to respond to emails, inquiries within a short time. I will put my email in the chat soon. And a quick snapshot of our last TAP cohort. In our previous round of TAP, we welcomed 7 technology companies and their industry champions. The event brought together over 40 attendees representing 31 organizations. The outcome included on-site transaction, 5 pilots project confirmed to date, and 1 investment closed. We initiated 14 follow-up connections through NGIF between the technology provider and industry and investors. There were some side conversations through the networking event, and the conversation is still ongoing within this cohort. We are excited to build on this momentum with cohort 2, and I encourage anyone interested to reach out or apply. Now let's turn our attention to our panel. For today's session, we are joined by the group of experts from UL Solution. We've invited this team because certification is an essential setup for any new technology, especially when it comes to field piloting and gaining access to the market. Without proper testing, inspection, and certification, even the most innovative solution can face barriers to deployment and adoption. UL expertise help technology developers navigate this requirement, ensuring their solution meets safety and regulatory standards and are ready for real-world implementation. We are fortunate to have their insight today, and I'm excited to the discussion ahead. Let me introduce each of panelists. So I start with Adrian. Adrian Leo is an engineering lead at UL Solution with a mechanical engineering background and over 21 years of experience at UL Solution. Adrian has worked across HVAC, appliances, fire protection, and oil and gas, and for the past year and a half has led the Canadian Power and Control team. Outside of work, Adrian loves to travel, try new food, and spend times outdoors. I think we share a lot, Adrian. We can catch up after. I love traveling. I love new foods. Next, I'd like to introduce Jim Belovich. Jim is also an engineering leader at the UL Solution. Jim joined UL in 2015 as a project engineer in Hazardous Location Group, and since August 2023 has served as engineering leader of Canadian Field Evaluation and the Edmonton Lab. And finally, I have Shivanjali Chaudhary. With a mechanical engineering background, Shivanjali is a project engineer at UL Solution and serves as site leader for UL Edmonton. Over the past 4 years, Shivanjali has managed hazardous location certification or HAZLOC, and since 2024 has mentored all HAZLOC engineers in the Canada EIA team. I let her to explain what is EIA team. With that, I'll hand things over to our panelists from UL Solution to present their slide and share their expertise. Shivanjali, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Samana. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and even good evening to those that are joining from another country. I'll just need a quick thumbs up from Samana if you can see my screen.
I do.
Thank you. So at this presentation today, we'll be talking about testing, inspection, and certification services through UL Solutions and talk about the more frequently used programs across certification. At this Tech Talk session, we will be talking about UL Solutions and our services related to testing, inspection, and certification, also known as TIC, which will include our advisory services, certification for US and Canada, and industrial control panel programs. Further, we will also discuss new and innovative products, global market access, and functional safety. Lastly, at this presentation, we will review Canadian field evaluation and Canadian field certification. Talking about UL Solutions, we are a global leader in safety science. We have a team of over 15,000 professionals that are present in 40 plus countries across the world. As you can see with various pins across the map, you can see that the technical expertise of our team is represented at 150 plus locations around the globe, which also includes our 90 plus laboratories that are currently helping our customers innovate safely and also meet the regulatory requirements in those regions. As we're bringing safety and trust in the market, we will offer several services, including software and advisory services, and a whole lot of other product groups in testing, inspection, and certification, such as built environment, energy and industrial automation, engineered materials, retail and consumer products, appliances, HVAC, lighting, water, identity management and security, and consumer medical and information technology. Within the energy and industrial automation segment, our TIC services can confirm safety and also help reduce the risk that are associated with industrial products and systems. We can also offer testing, inspection, and certification services to confirm the durability, safety, performance, and compliance of renewable energy technology. We also offer industrial functional safety for several complex microelectronics and software, which can be very challenging in assessing and certifying safety-related functions for such equipment. Finally, we also offer field evaluation services that help manufacturer meet regulatory requirements, streamline the approval process, and it may also lead to approval of the installation. Talking about the first type of services, advisory services will help offer guidance from concept to certification. This type of service can be applicable when the product is either in prototype phase or under iteration. The complete manufacturer documentation may not be available at this time, and the product or design may have an uncertain compliance pathway at this stage. Some of the advantages could be that it helps reduce the risk to enter market by identifying any potential non-compliances ahead of time. It can be less expensive when compared to certification. And the product evaluation or validation testing that is completed during the prelim investigation may be utilized towards certification project in the future. I'd just like to note that the advisory services do not entail any support with design of equipment that is submitted to us for evaluation. Our review would strictly evaluate the submitted construction against standard requirements. Talking a little bit more in detail about advisory services, it can be broken up into three types. Prelim investigations are where we clarify certification pathways, any obligations from regulatory bodies and technical requirements. We discuss product concepts and how the standard applies to the product, confirm compliance with the standard, explain any findings against evaluated standard sections, and discuss new product concepts to new developing requirements. The design and documentation review will help spot compliance gaps early in design. Here we can evaluate available schematics, drawings, installation instructions, and user manual. We can also participate in design reviews where, again, the comments are limited to compliance with certification requirements. Lastly, for advisory services, we can also offer verification test plans where we offer tailored test plans for early stage product assessment. We can conduct testing, which can include validation or performance testing, and offer a report with a summary of results. For the North American certification to US and Canada, we will discuss full certification for US and Canada safety scheme here. For those schemes, UL has accreditation as certification body with ANAB and SCC for both US and Canada. We are also accredited with OSHA within their nationally recognized test laboratory program and carry other accreditation with IAS as a testing laboratory. The kind of full certification we discuss is applicable where certification is required to manufacture equipment for ongoing large-scale production. Products will bear UL certification marks that are shown on this slide. On the left-hand side, we can see some of the legacy UL marks showing the classified, listed, and the UR recognized mark. And on the right-hand side, we see enhanced and smart UL marks, which are being used for newer product categories and also for customers that are looking to transition from legacy to these newer marks. But just to note that the recognized components using UR mark will continue to use that. Some of the characteristics for certification are that we ensure full conformance to the identified standards. We conduct analysis and testing per the product category requirements. The entire model series associated with the construction evaluated, including any alternative features, will be granted certification. And this kind of certification is supported by a listing card, report, and certificate of compliance, also known as COC. Upon the successful completion of such a certification project, manufacturer receives authorization to apply a UL mark at the authorized manufacturing location. Some of the other possible scenarios where certification are noted on this slide. One of these scenarios are non-conformances, where a product under evaluation does not meet technical requirements in the applicable standard. In this case, a certification mark is not applied at the time, and customer will receive a letter report which details all non-conformities. Such a scenario arises, we can still continue the certification process once those non-conformities are resolved, and we carry out discussions with the customer explaining the non-conformities so they understand how they can address it. But again, no suggestions are provided on design changes to meet the standard. We can do so and continue the certification project through an expansion of the existing project or initiating further project phases. The next common scenario would be revisions. This is where you can add any new equipment model series or just a single model from the same manufacturer where the construction is identical or substantially similar to a previously certified model. Now, this is permitted through revision of the certification reports and certificates, and the evaluation of the new model series may be limited depending on the extent of construction similarity with the previously certified model. A key piece to the North American certification is UL follow-up service inspections, also known as FUS inspections. An initial production inspection, known as IPI, is the first surveillance visit, which will be conducted at the manufacturer's site to verify that the products are produced in adherence with the UL certification report. A FUS procedure as part of the certification package will provide the description and tests that are necessary to supervise the product to the requirements that were stipulated earlier. And the manufacturer cannot ship any products that incorporate UL mark until this IPI or initial production inspection has been completed. These factory service inspections are carried out by UL FUS inspectors. Right after the completion of certification projects, the FUS inspectors will reach out to the manufacturing location and coordinate these inspections. The next piece in the North American certification are industrial control panel programs. Here, this program can be applicable when manufacturers are building industrial control panels, either for custom construction or for mass production, and they require the ability to apply UL listing mark themselves. Some of the advantages to this program is that it can have faster project turnaround, reduce any delays in certification. There is lower long-term costs for high volume or custom builds, and this program also has broad acceptance by inspectors and any authorities having jurisdiction, preventing any job site delays due to non-compliance. The key characteristics of the panel program is that they are also applicable to US and Canadian markets. We include a live training session with hands-on exercises and question and answer, where we discuss safety concepts for each panel type and installation area. We discuss types of certification and the associated UL marks, construction requirements with practical examples and photos, guidelines and limitation for component selection for each panel type, an introduction to the UL digital directory, also known as UL product IQ, and a walkthrough of the file structure that will help manufacturers locate information being discussed through training and also provided through the report package. Lastly, we end this training with discussion of documentation and marking requirements. This kind of panel program also includes regular inspections by follow-up service team at the authorized manufacturing facility. And as we mentioned earlier, this provides flexibility in panel design where the manufacturer is not required to submit each individual construction to UL for panel certification. This was the end of my presentation, and I would like to now pass on the next segment of this tech talk to my colleague, Adrian Liu.
Thank you. Let me know, give me a thumbs up if you guys can see my screen. All right, awesome. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. So I'll be sharing a few more services that UL provides as part of our services. So new and innovative products, global market access, and functional safety. So let's start with what we mean by new and innovative. So as the name implies, new products. So it's basically a new product that is currently not covered under any existing standard, or it falls under a standard that hasn't been used under a specific current certification scheme. So that's what we consider a new product in terms of certification in the certification world. For innovative products, it's a product that is it is covered under an existing standard, but there are certain new functionality or features or application that is being added and might possess a safety risk and isn't addressed by any existing standard. So that is the definition of what innovative product is. So in both cases, both of these scenarios will require UL to involve with developing of new or revised technical requirements. So we have a process to go through that, and okay, so we have a process called New and Innovative Projects process. So it is very similar to what Shivajuli mentioned. Is a kind of a combination of the advisory with the full certification that's been explained. So when inquiries for new and innovative product comes in, we will most likely there will be requirements that needs to be developed. So we will actually issue a quote called new or innovative preliminary investigation. So the purpose of this preliminary investigation covers the development of any new requirements or for an existing standard, or we're going to develop a brand new standard, whatever the case might be. And after the completion of this investigation, basically, there will be a path forward with the applicable standard, the test program, and the samples that's required in order to proceed with the actual certification project. So once that investigation is completed, a separate quote for a full certification project, just like Shivajali mentioned before, will start. So this is kind of a two-step process where the first part is the technical development part, and the second part is the actual full product certification. And in some cases, you all might make a business decision to not actually evaluate or develop requirements for certain types of products, and those will not be included as part of any certification mark. So that's a high level of what our new and innovative project process is. Next, I would like to get into global market access. Basically, global market access is very important. It enables businesses to kind of operate and sell their products internationally. The benefits are very clear. So clients will be able to reach a broader audience, diversify their revenue streams, offer specific products and services within a specific region, but navigating the whole global regulation is very challenging and complicated. So that's where a UL comes in that could help. We have a separate GMA department service where we have local expert to support you in your own language and time zones if applicable. And also our teams can simplify the compliance across multiple regions, multiple product lines perhaps, which help reduce the cost and the time to market time. And with that, that also kind of gives you the confidence to expand your products into new markets in a timely fashion. So as Sergio mentioned before, we have experts, over 500 experts, over 150 locations and 90 labs across the globe. We deal with over 300 different regulatory schemes around the world. Our global market team covers global-wide with the local market knowledge that the clients will need to get into any specific market that they need. So at the bottom of this website, or sorry, with this slide, there's a link to our UL Solution Market Access page, which have a lot more information. And I believe this deck will be shared with everyone after the Tech Talk. So you can go in and get more information on GMA. So next, I just wanted to provide a visual for you to see the coverage for GMA team. So we have a GMA team in North America, Latin America, Europe, Middle East, and Africa and Asia Pacific. And within that region, I know it's a little too small to see, but all those little marks are all the different schemes that we are expert on and could provide knowledge and information for you to get into that market. So again, this is a visual to show that we are pretty much cover global wide. Next, let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about functional safety. So this is a topic that might not be too familiar with some people, because traditionally, I think UL and for the industry, we concentrate on product certification. So basically, we ask the question: does the product itself poses a risk, fire risk, electrical shock, or any type of personal injury? But a lot of times these individual products are put into a system. So functional safety goes further beyond, goes beyond further than a product certification. It looks at a functional safety, the safety schemes of a whole system. So I'm just gonna kind of try to explain functional safety with some simple example. So for example, let's talk about a motor drive that is UL listed. So by itself as a motor drive, is UL certified, so we applied the applicable standard to it. We know that it doesn't start a fire, it doesn't shock you, it doesn't produce any dangerous emission or creates any harmful gases to the user. But what happens if we put this motor now into a system, for example, into a power plant for pumping, coolants and cooling down the system? When you put a component into a critical system like this, the failure could be catastrophic, right? So how do we know this individual component, the pump motor, can function properly and take in all the different signals to start and stop the pumps and cool down the in this case the reactor vessels. So this is what functional safety comes in and what it means. So functional safety is part of the overall safety of a whole system, not just an individual part. And it evaluates the correct execution of specific functions for specific component within the whole system. Here I displayed a few different definition of functional safety that came from different IEC functional safety requirements for different segment. But at the end, they overall definition is the same, whereas they point to the overall safety of the system to make sure the individual components are functioning properly. So that's what functional safety is. Now, on a high level, just want to touch base on, in terms of functional safety evaluation, these are the typical principles that the engineers look at to ensure the functional safety is in place for a system. So first, the hazard and risk assessment. So what risks are present in the system? And also they look at if there's a quality management system within the system. Are there any procedures in place for managing the life cycle of the product? Measure of to address the random failure. So does the architect of the control employs redundancy, or is the reliability of the components being looked at? And lastly, the measure of systematic failures. So as procedures used when writing software to eliminate bugs, or is their product designed to withstand EMI and environmental stress? So those are some of the principles that within a functional safety evaluation, those are the principles that we looked at and considered to make sure everything is safe. So with that, I will pass it on to Jim to go over our field evaluation and field certification process.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Adrian. So I just want to make sure everybody can see my screen.
Yep.
Give me a second here. So hello, everybody. This is Jim Belovich. So today I'll continue on. I'll be talking about the UL Canadian field evaluation and certification services. Okay, so let's go on. So first of all, what is field evaluation? It is a safety evaluation program that has generic requirements that really apply across a wide range of different products. And when found in compliance, it bears the field evaluation approval label. It is, very importantly, it's accredited by the SCC, which is the Standards Council of Canada. The evaluation is done to 3 standards. CSA SP 1000, which is for electrical equipment. CSA SP 3000, which is for medical equipment and medical electrical systems. And also to CSA B149.3, which is a code for fuel burning appliances and equipment. Very important to know that this service is not intended as a substitute for model certification, and there is a limitation of 500 units per model per year that can be used. It is an approved service per the Canadian Electrical Code Part 1. So one of the methods of approval of electrical equipment and installations is this field evaluation of equipment. In the industry, this is sometimes known as a special inspection. That's a legacy term to mean the same thing, meaning field evaluation. Okay, so why would an organization choose field evaluation? So it is an alternate to regular model certification and would be chosen in one of these circumstances. When manufacturers produce limited quantities, also when manufacturers of equipment have equipment that consists of certified components, right? But the overall assembly is not certified and requires approval. Also, equipment that was originally certified but was thereafter modified when in the field and hence requires reapproval. Also, equipment that was shipped but for some reason it just happens to miss a certification mark. Also, equipment that is not ready for mass production yet, but there is a limited number of, let's say, pilot units for demonstration that have been made and need to be powered up, need to be energized. So they still need to have an approval, and that's where this program could be used. Also, equipment that is in the process of being certified, right? So there is a project for full certification in place, but there are some units that need to be shipped and installed due to the time that it takes to complete the certification. And so in that circumstance, this could bridge that gap where we could field evaluate those units until the full certification is achieved. And also, sometimes there are some new products, where there may not be a recognized Canadian standard yet available. So in that case, it could be that the field evaluation could be a temporary solution until a certification standard is finalized and published. Okay, so moving on. So now, in terms of field certification, what is field certification, right? We talked about field evaluation. What is field certification? So it is a safety certification program where the equipment is actually evaluated to the applicable Canadian nationally recognized standards. And when it's in compliance, it bears a label with a certification mark. So for field evaluation, it's an approval label. With field certification, you get a label, still a label, but it has a registered Canadian certification mark on it. Okay, same way, it is an accredited program by the Standard Council of Canada. It is equivalent to full model certification, but it is done on a limited number of units. You would utilize it in such cases when you have an equipment or an assembly that you only manufacture on a limited basis. Does not make sense to go for full certification. So field certification is definitely a solution that can be used. And also very important to know that there is no single field certification standard or code that exists. The certification is done, is issued to the applicable standard or standards that apply to that product. So the same as in full certification. And those are standards that are specified in Part 2 of the Canadian Electrical Code. So why would an organization choose field certification? So basically, the reasons that I mentioned previously for field evaluation, they still apply. But specifically, field certification is chosen under these circumstances. When you need an actual certification mark instead of an approval label, so a certification mark is required. Also, when you are requested to demonstrate compliance to the applicable end product Canadian nationally recognized standards for the product instead of the generic field evaluation code such as SP 1000. So if that is an end goal where you need a certificate that says you comply with the end product standards that apply to a product, well then field certification is the way to go. And also very importantly, we have to understand that field evaluation does not apply to all types of products. There are scope limitations in the SP 1000, SP 3000 codes, whereby some product types are not eligible for field evaluation. They need to be field certified. So a very prominent example would be equipment installed in explosive atmospheres, or as we call them, hazardous locations. So for such products, you need to utilize field certification. Field evaluation is not a possibility. It's not permitted. Okay, so moving on. So why would an organization choose UL for these services, field evaluation and certification? Well, first of all, UL is a global organization, like we've already established in the previous slides. And so UL field evaluation certification labels are likewise very well recognized and accepted by the Canadian authorities having jurisdictions, or AHJs as they're known. And obviously we are well accredited by the SEC as well. So our mark is very much accepted. Our labels are very much accepted. We do pride ourselves on providing fast service and turnaround time. We'll be there on a short notice, as is often required by manufacturers. We work very closely with our customers and the AHJs if required, so that your tight deadlines are reached and you have the result that you need. We offer great technical expertise. All the people that work for us are highly experienced experts with many years of experience. And that is always very important to make sure that your project goes smoothly and in a timely manner. Of course, technical support is very important. We will be there throughout the process from beginning to end of the project, whether it's administrative issues, technical issues, anything that can be met during the project. We'll make sure that we provide the highest quality of service for you. And lastly, below, you can see some examples of labels that apply to these programs. So the blue label is what would be used for electrical field evaluation. Yellow label would be used for the gas field evaluation, or the fuel burning appliances, rather, field evaluation. The white label is for medical equipment and medical systems. And on the right, that is the field certification label. As you can see, it says field certified in there. And the ULC, that's the registered certification mark that appears there and would be affixed on the product. So that is basically it. And moving on, just wanted to reinforce that, and I put here the contact information for the different segments that we've presented, whether it's full certification, new and innovative, global market access, functional safety, and of course, what I've just went through, field evaluation and certification. You feel free to reach out to us at any time, whether by phone or email, with requests, questions. We'll always entertain those questions and get back to you in a short, in a timely manner. So thank you very much, and I'll transfer this over now to Samane. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's me taking over. Thank you so much, all of you, for the excellent presentation. I've gained a much deeper understanding. I still lack a lot of information, and I understand that we cannot do a lot within 1 hour, and the presentation itself was 30 minutes. We want to give time for our participant to ask question. But thank you, it was very good. And while we are waiting for the questions in the chat, I want to mention that we have also Tim Evans, Principal Engineer at the UL Solution, joining us for the Q&A part to cover some of the questions. One question, I know you covered it, Jim, mainly in your presentation, but it was in the chat, and I'm going to repeat that. And it's what is the relationship between UL certification and CSA stamp, if there is any? I know you covered it mostly, but if we want to elaborate a little more for our audiences, how it is different, it would be
Could you
helpful.
repeat the question, please, Samane?
What is the relation between UL certification and CSA stamp, if there's any?
Well, basically, UL and CSA are separate organizations. We're both equally accredited in Canada to provide the services. We have our own stamp, if you will, our own mark that we apply. The UL with a C subscript, that would be for Canada. UL mark is for the US, and there is a CUL US mark with a C and US subscripts that would give coverage for both Canada and US. So our mark is very well registered and accepted in both Canada and the US. And CSA is a completely separate organization.
Okay, Shivanjali, you want to add anything to this?
That was very nicely and clearly answered by Jim. What he said. I'll quickly share screen and show the mark. This has been a common question at even trade shows. So this shows our marks for US, Canada, and both US, Canada. So as Jim mentioned, just the UL mark in a circle is for US, and for UR mark is just UR. For Canada, you see a small C subscript. And for both US and Canada, you see both subscripts for Canada and US. So this is just a picture to show what Jim just talked about.
Okay. And if I want to clarify it for myself, so technology can either go through the CSA to get a stamp, or they can come to UL and get the same equivalent certification. Is that right?
Yes, for Canadian and US programs, we are accredited with we have similar accreditation status. And as we went over full certification accreditation, we are accredited with OSHA and SCC for both US and Canada. So, and when you get the certification report and certificate, if you've applied for both US and Canada, you will see both US and Canadian standards on the certificate as a proof of certification.
Okay. And we have another question in the chat asking is UL active in eco-labeling?
Yes, we do offer Green Guard and eco-labeling among other sustainability certification services. So that is an offering.
Okay, and the following ask, does UL conduct environmental technology verification, ETV, following the ISO 14034 ETV standard?
So I can say that the staff here are from Energy and Industrial Automation Group. We have a separate group who focuses on sustainability certification. We also have staff here in Edmonton and in Alberta and British Columbia who offer this through their team. So we can definitely confirm the specifics through them, but if you'd like, this can be a follow-up question after the presentation, and you can release it to the entire group.
Okay, thank you. I have a question for Tim. Normally what I hear from many of technology developer is getting certification is time consuming, it's lengthy, it takes a lot of time. What is the largest hurdle or gap in testing, inspection, certification for this technology, specifically in the energy transition technologies, clean energy? What do you think would accelerate the process?
The most difficult part that we are faced with is the lack of new standards for new technology. Those of you that are on the cutting edge of technology outpace us by 1 to 2 years at least, sometimes more. So, and as Jim mentioned earlier, we do have the field evaluation programs. We do have the option to write interim requirements known as outlines of investigation or other recognized documents, but all of that is very time consuming. And that unfortunately is what takes most of the time. If it's an existing technology, often what holds things up is, particularly for a manufacturer that's new to the process, and they do not have all their documentation ready ahead of time. And often we're waiting for a sample or for additional documentation to support the approval of key components. So these are the items that really hold things up.
Okay. There is a question in the chat. What is the starting point to initiate the certification process? For instance, what are the documents that you need at the starting point? That's a good question.
I would say
go ahead.
A very good understanding of what the product is, whether it's your glossy literatures that you might use to sell to your end customer, some of the technical specifications. We really need to understand what the product is before we can find the appropriate category and subsequently the appropriate standards to certify the equipment to.
Shivanja, following to the first question I had for team about the hardware and challenges, what are the challenges for multiple international markets, like when the product wants to access to multiple international markets? What are the
So
common challenges?
yes, they can be different challenges depending on where they're at, where the manufacturer's at with their documentation and design phase. Some of the things that I've seen is a manufacturer is already certified for US and Canadian standards, and the same product they want to take to international markets. Now, if the evaluation was completed based on a lot of critical components already certified, but only for Canada and US, it's important to now look at the certification for those individual components, whether they carry those for international standards or not. Because critical components, if they're not certified to the international standards, then we will also have to do gap analysis and additional component evaluation um, to the international standards before we look at the overall equipment assembly. So sometimes that can add extra time. So it's important if you're planning for installing this equipment internationally and within North America, maybe look at all possible certification that are available for each of the critical components. And you can start having this discussion with us where we can help you identify whether it's applicable or not and it's acceptable. The next thing that I'd say is if a product is going to be installed internationally and it's a large piece of equipment, has higher loads that can only be, tested at the manufacturer site abroad, then it's good to have those discussions with us now because that might require additional time for our staff to travel internationally and see whether all tests that are stipulated can be performed at the manufacturer site abroad. So that could lead to a lot of challenges later on, if not identified in the earlier stages of project scoping. I would say those are kind of two bigger challenges I've noted.
Okay. I wanna emphasize that mics are enabled now. If anyone wants to unmute and ask their question, feel free. Or if you want to put on the chat, we will go through the question, of course. There is a good question in the chat, and I noticed that within your presentation, you didn't mention anything about the cost of the process. And I understand it's definitely has different costs for different application, different processes, and it probably involve a lot of parameters. But someone asked if you can give us an idea of the cost of certain services. An example, if we need field inspection on a product in prototype, what cost they should budget for it? I know if it's for team or yeah.
So yeah, it's not so easy to answer the question in terms of cost, to be honest, because it depends on the number of units that are required, right, to be inspected or evaluated. It depends on the complexity of the construction and the testing that's required. All that converts to the amount of time that has to be spent, which then converts to cost. So it's we would really to give an idea, we would really have to look at what is being presented. We'll have to look at the product, and then we'll have a better idea in terms of what the cost is.
Yeah, I totally understand, but maybe it's helpful for our audiences. Normally, our audiences are new technology developer. Their technology is in a prototype, and they have to budget, and a startup and technology developer are normally limited with the budget and resources as well. So maybe just a range. Is it like within like 10,000 or $100,000, well, what they have to budget for getting some level of certification, at least to start? Can you give us an idea?
I could speak to that. So that's when you talk about prototype. So that kind of falls under the new and innovative project path. So as I said, there's kind of two processes. The first part is kind of the preliminary investigation, develop the requirements. And once that's developed, then we can go through the certification process. Just like Jim said, it really depends on the product type. So you are really looking into it, and it could ranges from $10,000 to $100,000 actually. So, it really depends on the product type.
Of course, yeah. No, I understand. Yeah, absolutely. So there's another question. Is it necessary to assess performance safety for every application, or it is just applicable to item which is critical to safety performance?
Tim, you want to take that question?
Yeah, I could take that. So it is critical to get an evaluation or a certification for all the end application that you would use in your product, because a certification is not effective if you're using it for something else. For example, I'm just going to give example. So there's a control panel. So we have a control panel shop program that is mainly for some basic electrical controls to control some parameters. But in some certain cases, some of those control panels can be used for specific use. For example, EV charging, which have different ratings, different end applications. So although it's the same type of product, but the end use is very different. So you really want to make sure you have the applicable and appropriate end product certification for the use.
I have a question for Shivanjali.
Can I add a little?
Yeah, of course, please.
Like a following
Go ahead.
question to that. The reason I'm asking this is basically there are different there are different avenue. Let's say there's pump, for example, which is actually contribute to the performance, and there are monitoring system which is not contributing to the safety. It is just monitoring. So there something like monitoring system, does it need to have a performance test or performance safety test or no?
It depends.
Sorry.
Okay. You want me to answer that, or Adrian, you answer
Yeah,
it?
sure.
So depends on what the monitoring system consists of, and the proximity and where it is plugged in, and proximity to human the human space. Depending on that, it may require EMC testing, it may require safety testing, it may require electrical testing. Consider this a fact. If you have a new product, it's a monitoring product. If you're plugging it into an electrical source, or it is Wi-Fi connected, it would need some sort of certification on it. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So another question is, does UL provide a manual or guidebook for customers so that we know what we need to have ready for discussion?
So it's hard to say that a single guidebook could cover every type of possible service and what are the required documents. But once a customer knows what they're manufacturing and which markets they're looking to enter, we can start having discussions with them. And at that point, the engineer who works with them will provide a list of documents that they need to be ready with when we start a certification project. And again, the amount of detail that can be offered at that point will be much better for somebody who is already, proceeding towards certification in the future. So I'd say directly have it once you know what kind of product you're building and where you want to go with it.
Has UL developed any standardized test method or specification for quantifying total CO2 absorbed by cured concrete block, for example? It is very specific.
For that question, we'll have to approach the buildings group, so we will have to come back with a response for that.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, Anjali, if a previous product is UL certified, is there a fast track certification process for next generation version of that product?
Yes, and that would fall into revision of certification that I discussed in one of the slides, where depending on whether it's only administrative update to the product or even constructional update, but limited to few components versus the complete new construction, then we can do a limited evaluation. Again, the paperwork, which is the reports, the certificates, same kind of paperwork will have to be done, but the construction evaluation and test plan can be reduced based on similarity of construction. And the project engineer will be reviewing that with the customer and making a decision on how the similarity helps reduce the test plan or construction evaluation, and what will be the remaining items we still need to do.
Okay. So another question is, what are the standards for hydrogen blending other than pipelines, like for the valves, fitting, etc.? But I'm not sure if it is falling within your expertise or it's another department involved.
So solenoid valves, for example, for hazardous locations, hydrogen is still part of hazardous locations. And if you have those, then definitely you can work directly with myself. And if it's being installed in a blended atmosphere, then the area classification standards are adding more verbiage of whether it needs to be reclassified or not if it's a blended environment.
Okay. There's another question. I'm trying to read this question aloud and see if it is clear. Could an appliance non-burning waste heat recovery system that uses Seebeck effect devices to convert heat directly to electricity output of 12 or 24 VDC be certified for field inspection if it was located out of the explosion zone? That was hard.
Yeah, I think with something like this, we can definitely entertain a question. It would be best if it could be sent to us for a more in-depth look, and we can definitely come back to the asker and confirm what we can do about it.
Absolutely. I'm gonna let everyone know that you can directly reach out to our panelists or send me your question, a follow-up question you have. You have my email in the chat, and I will definitely follow with them and get back to you. What is your engagement strategy? Okay, that's like a number of dollar as a down payment and then number of monthly or quarterly. Yeah.
So, Sam, what you're trying to say here is the engagement strategy. We have different avenues for engagement with the client. Yeah. We have the website, we have the inside salesperson, we have an external salesperson, we also have engineers who can contact directly. Now, depending upon the type of account, depending upon the history with us, we may ask for even up to 100% upfront, right? Usually key clients of ours send a PO and then we deal with the PO because they have a record with us for 5, 10, 15 years, right?
Oh.
But certain clients, we ask sometimes for 15, 20, 25, 50% upfront. It depends upon the client, depends upon the credit history. We do not control that. All the bean counters control that.
Okay. I see. We are about to the end of our presentation today. I want to emphasize that please give us your feedback. There is a QR code on the slide. If you scan, it's a short survey. It just gives us a sense of how impactful is our webinar and what we can do better in our job. So please go ahead and scan this QR code. Give us some feedback. I'm looking in the chat to see if I missed any question. Meanwhile, maybe if you have any final note for our audiences, each of you, a speaker, you can unmute and give us a final note. Maybe I ask Tim.
Note is, hey, thank you everyone very much for attending this call. We are willing to support you on any of your certification needs to qualify equipment or certify equipment. You have the names of all the engineers that are listed on this presentation. You can also reach out to the 1-800 number or even through our website. Okay, so there are different avenues to reach us.
Here I'm asking for your permission to connect you with our audiences. If I receive any email regarding the UL certification, I will direct them to you. So I'm asking for your permission. Thank you. Yeah, thank you everyone. It's 12 o'clock. It was really insightful presentation. From the level of engagement we had, I get a sense that this was one of the essential topic. There have been a lot of questions, and we cannot cover everything within 1 hour, but we are opening the avenue for the connection for the technology developer. Thank you. Thanks to our presenters for joining us today and for your time. It was very great having all of you here. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Good
Bye.
day.
Bye.